Greetings, I am Diana or Lighthawk. I am here as you are to spiritually evolve and to go on a remarkable spiritual and cosmic journey of discovery. There are truly signposts along the way, and both challenges and also more natural feeling at home moments. It is definitely not a one-size-fits-all trip or movement. There are an abundance of energy techniques and spiritual teachings. There are several soul and spirit aspects, dimensional levels, and spheres. There are a multitude of guides, gurus, masters, spirit helpers, angelic light streams, and overall universal forces. So where do we all begin? It is always good to have a solid emotional maturity base. Also, sooner or later, there are going to be situations and people to forgive before truly moving forward. This can be one of the hardest and intense parts, but it is worth it to do this as much as possible and early on as possible in the journey. If not, then you can run the risk of fracturing or dividing. The more you develop your consciousness, the more you are going to want to concentrate on what is essential, and also the higher course with situations. How does the spiritual path all begin? Sometimes it can be or start from an early visitation from a relative in spirit, or it can be from related to an accident, an abduction, an extra strong guide available, or just the strong dedication of someone for a spiritual practice. Or again, especially it seems to happen quite a bit with people after a near-death experience. Now, usually with these experiences, there is a shaking up of reality and also sometimes a profound difference in energy that happens. This can propel one to change focus from living a mundane, robot-like, non-questioning life to always searching, or at least to develop the spark of divine consciousness. Sometimes also, or instead, curiosity is piqued, like a cat who sees a spirit and starts to wonder what more there is. Noticing the energy can be subtle in feeling some changes in our etheric bodies, or it could be more of a woe in noticing like a dispersed or disembodied spirit form, which some people would think of as ghost. This could be a roaming earth spirit, or more than likely from someone who has passed, but was in shock with this transition, either from an accident, crime, or quick, unexpected early transition. Also, if a soul becomes too attached to an earthly situation or habit, such as drugs, heavy drinking, certain relationships, or low vibration activities, the soul can become earthbound. Sometimes, too, someone can be so anti-God force that a certain rebellious energy develops, and that soul also can be weighed down at the time of earthly departure. So as I have mentioned in other contexts and videos, it is important that we don't treat these situations with humor and entertainment. It's pertinent to realize that with earthbound souls and with any souls in other realms and dimensions, that they are our brothers and sisters, really, in spirit, and to have unconditional love and understanding for all situations. Now, with the ethereal realm, which often overlays or underlays with the astral realm, there can also be some possession type activities. There are souls that are hungry who seek out others who share their vices. There can be many symptoms of being enveloped by more negative energies, which can be also from someone being influenced by the dark arts, whether aware or not. Some of the symptoms are unexplained discomfort, intense pain, inexplicable sadness, irrational phobias, depression, deprivation of joy, severe aggression, confusion, obstructions, irritability, and sudden anger burst. Some feel that there can even be spiritual warfare within realms. Now, to be unaffected, you can develop a consistent, pure effort of connecting with the source light and a healthy, balanced lifestyle. And remember, it is not good to be boastful and develop an outlandish ego around spiritual accomplishments. Now, I do entity removal and home and land clearings if needed. And you can find more info on one of my websites, mountainspirithealing.org. Again, that's mountainspirithealing.org. Related to the lower astral, there are also different layers of the astral. Not only several aspects and layers, but names such as Bardo, Purgatory, and such. This is characterized, or they are characterized by possibly intense reflection, but also can be dreamy and darker than other realms. And with the constant traveling of souls that have like a distant memory trying to find something, but not able to grasp. Also, it can be a mirroring of their religious beliefs in certain levels of the astral, like maybe the higher astral, like the same religious beliefs that people have had on earth. It seems like paradise, however, it can really be a stagnancy. If someone doesn't move on from this, the stagnancy can continue. Now, what is being explained with the planes overlaps mostly with the explanations and descriptions of the dimensions and densities. What is sometimes termed the fourth world or level, which could also be looked at as upper fourth dimensional to lower fifth. Now, this is a world of idealized form. Now, no longer the confines of the earthly plane in a certain way. Also being released from a lot of possible reincarnation and free from dogmas. The soul here is sensing or starting to sense true freedom with the fifth world of its existence. The soul can actually take on the body of a flame in the higher fifth, and with this, travel the universe without physicality. Now, on the sixth plane of existence, the soul or spirit is surrounded by white light. The emotions are absent, except for pure intent. The souls are evolved. Now, on the seventh plane, there starts to be dissolvement of form, where one really becomes more one and connected to the domain of God. Now, getting back 2 dimensions, some say there are 12, others 18, and others a multitudinal amount. The ways to start evolving to higher vibration and subsequently to graduate or move on to lighter realms, whether in body, soul, or spirit. And sometimes it's thought as pillars of enlightenment. So besides healthy and pure habits and forgiveness, there is starting the day with God. There are certain techniques for this, both Eastern and Western. Realizing the all-one or God spirit in daily life and having a more personal relationship. Now, practicing unconditional love and faith. Developing inner wisdom also. I like the quote, "Sunder the veil of illusion with the dagger of wisdom." And to get away from the bond of suffering as much as possible. Prayer throughout the day, deep meditation, and a type of embodiment practice is essential. Continue to practice self-control and remember, misery loves company. What is also important is while doing all this is to develop and adhere to non-dogmatic ways and not to be overly attached to certain persons, outcomes, teachings, and religions. Of course, we are not the only planet where there are beings aspiring to develop their souls, for their spirit to evolve to higher realms. All galactic races and beings in other realms have or have the potential of the God spark within. As, of course, this conscious awakening network pertains to this. There are a multitude of races and planets whom also have beings that are on various dimensions or dimensional and spiritual levels. The more highly known and mentioned extraterrestrial races and within this galaxy that relate to the star constellations from which they are believed to have originated are several. They also are the ones believed to have the most contact or influence with Earth. Now, most are benevolent or positive, but then there are some more considered malevolent. They are the Greys from Zeta Reticuli and Orion, the Orions, the Pleiadians, the Sirians, of course the Lyrans, the Nordics, Reptilians, and the Anunnaki. Also, at one time, those from Spica and Aldebaran. Now the Arcturians also have they have good positive influence with the Earth and our galaxy. And they are really considered the most spiritually developed race in this certain sector. They are very dedicated to earth healing and it can be quite unemotional and unattached. They also center on elevated transformational, personal, and group healing. And even though the Andromedans are from another galaxy, they have been committed and bold with our galaxy and solar system outreach. The Syrians helped to establish several early spiritual colonies on Earth and surrounding planets. And the one main one was Kemet, which later became known as Egypt. Now these were in the very early prehistoric type years. Now both the Syrians and Pleiadians have several planets that truly center around healing, transformation, and connection. They are connected to the whales and dolphins on this planet, along with the elf kind. The Cassiopeans are another spiritually based race and center around beauty, grace, and cooperation. And again, the Andromedans have been brave and warrior-like, coming from another galaxy, but sometimes taking a leader role with organization and outreach. The most important points to remember with all of this is that all races have both positive and negative traits, but they all can center on the same God source, even if this is known by different names and viewed by various angles. So of course, each person, being within a race have their own responsibility and ableness to transform and transcend. So why do the races try to intervene sometimes in certain indirect ways? Well, again, most of you know this, but as a review, what each person does affects the whole, and what each group does affects the country or nation, and what each nation does affects the earth, and then the planets, and each planet can affect the solar system, the galaxies, and so on. Again, the spiritual journey is an increase in awareness that you are a spiritual being in a physical body, and to be able to forgive any negative encounters or consequences that you experience on Earth or in other lifetimes and in other spheres. Also, to be able to elevate your thoughts, harmonize emotions, and to transform brightly and lightly. So when you release this bodily form and your soul travels, you are able to resonate with a light vibrating realm and not be tied down to either the heaviness of the earth or wandering around in a gray type world. The soul or spirit will resonate with the energy of certain spheres. It may decide to stay there for a while, or if more lessons are learned, or the Godhead attractor force is strong enough, then the spirit will continually move closer and closer to the source light. So the lighter in spirit that you are, the more you can rise to the light. Along the way, you may encounter different spirit helpers that you've had on earth, along with the angelic beings. On earth, it may be mostly your guardian angels supporting and helping to protect you. As you ascend, you may also have angelic light helpers. Also, in other worlds and dimensions, there are spiritual or spirit messengers and teachers. You may experience the tears of angels also, whether directly or indirectly, depending on the sphere or planet or dimension you may be in at the time, and also what is needed for the collective there. There are several tiers or categories of angelic beings that are represented and described from several different religions, spiritual teachings, philosophers, and mystics. It is important to remember that even with certain roles that these beings play, they are not physical. And even though they may appear physical sometimes, they are either light streams or electromagnetic fields of intelligence that interact with both humans and off-world beings in various ways which sometimes depends on the expectations or beliefs at the time. Their energy forms may contribute to them having wings. However, there were also other planetary beings that did definitely have wings or were hybrid that with the humans at the time, or that the humans did witness at the time that they were present on Earth. And this was mostly after the period when angel and angel hybrids did inhabit the planet. So when you are vibrating in the higher love, the angels and light guides will prevail themselves, even more especially if you practice meditation and prayer regularly. Also, be open to signs and synchronicities and expect that they will answer. Watch for symbols, of course, and pay attention to names and numbers that come up repeatedly. Sometimes you may see feathers, especially white feathers, on your path. Continue to be open to synchronicities and pay attention to your intuition. You can develop a stronger and closer relationship as time goes on and learn to communicate in a personal and direct way. Really tune in and listen to your light beings' guidance. For they do not judge, but help you to accept yourself and others. Angels and light beings are profound healers. So again, be open to this. You will feel their warmth and comfort. There could be an energy shift, a ringing in the ears, hearing elevated sounds and music, and what some people call spiritual chills. So all angels serve as messengers of God, or the source, in one way or another, and are protectors and guides. The archangels are well known, and quite a few earthlings call on or are in contact with them. They are powerful messengers and healers. Michael is the leader of the archangels, and he stands for strong protection. Raphael emanates profound healing. You can call on Gabriel for communication in addition to receiving higher light. And to connect with Uriel is to be in wisdom and insight. These archangels also have sub-angels in their group that align with what they represent. They come in strong with angelic alchemy healings that I perform and lend their clarity, healing, strength, and support. Remember, they are powerful beings and can help with many situations on earth, but they are not to be worshipped. And again, what happens in our world doesn't occur in isolation. So the angelic beings minister in other worlds and dimensions also. Again, there are various tiers or times and places on our spiritual path where we will have assistance from these beings, whether on Earth, other planets, or in the spirit realm and at certain stages. So the guardian angels and archangels will probably be the most prevalent on an individual spiritual path. The guardians being protectors of individuals and families. There are several other groups or kinds of angelic beings and also tiers of them. They are all messengers in one form or another. However, certain tiers have been known to have certain roles in the spheres and cosmic scheme of things. And remember, this is not a religious viewpoint. For the light beings are known across various cultures, however, possibly by different names. Now, the principalities are stewards of geographic areas and of leaders. So really involved on what transpires on Earth. The powers are warrior-type angel or angelic forces that counteract negative forces and defend creation and the cosmic order. The virtues are elemental angels, in which I also talk about in other videos on Can and my channel, Walk Between the Worlds. They are concerned with miracles and with earth and sky and celestial phenomenon. The dominions manage the cosmic order and the activity of other angels. Thrones, or Ophanim, stand for divine justice and God's grace. The cherubim stand guard with God's goodness, potency, and most of all, sovereignty. They are celestial chroniclers. And the seraphim are the closest to the divine, constantly circling and emanating ever burning power of love and redemption. They may be present with the ascension of souls to the highly vibrating spirit realms. There are also several kinds of seraphim in the paradise realms. So the Elohim are sometimes linked, of course, with the angelic realm. And again, they stand for different various planets and geographical areas too, and also the cosmic order of the planetary spheres, at least. So again, these are radiant and ethereal beings possessing high spiritual qualities, but they are not to be worshipped, however. They are there for assistance if one is open to them. Again, I offer angelic alchemy sessions, so please contact me at lightdimensions@gmail.com. And also, I must stress, the most important aspect for a spiritual life is to be connected to both your own inner light along with the Christ-like spirit, and this all and the all-one source. Now, I offer healing modalities to help you connect to the source light, and descriptions can be found again on my website. So now getting back to the different kinds of angelic or light beings, I am especially connected to the elemental angels. And also, I have an aspect of the Ophanim. Now, I mentioned them before. They're one of the tiers. They're also known as thrones. So in addition to receiving Gaia inspiration and transmissions from the Cassiopeian star race, who are very spiritual, I have received also a recent transmission inspired from a pair of thrones, or Ophanim, who are angelic beings. Now, the latest transmission, or part of it, goes as follows. Heart of the divine order and divine light, we are Sandana and Salandria. We are working in unison and harmony for the greater cosmic good. We are part of the angelic race and help with the ordinance of your super universe. There are many universes within and many galaxies, and of course many planets, such as your Earth, that we recognize already as Gaia. Even though within the celestial system, you may now in your time be vibrating at not an optimal level or energy level. And even though it doesn't appear on the surface, things are changing. Light beings are working below the surface, on the surface, above, and in the quantum and light spheres. We honor this sphere, no matter how dark you may find your present surroundings. For we are all beings on all levels and spheres, part of the divine. We continue without thought to provide our energy and light, to continue to serve the All-One with pure integrity and design. Everything is of the divine order. And even though each major universe and sub-universes and galaxies represent a different spoke of the wheel and grand wheel, of cosmic light and form. It is all still part of the whole working together. The harmony, the ultimate harmony, we send forth and work with other angelic beings to graciously send all of our love and intent to bring together all of these universal wheels and spirals so they flow and dance in symphony. There are many divine beings and angelic light streams that work with the creation through the divine mother spirit. And it is an endless, beautiful creation and network, all coordinated with the strong divine love and order of the All One, of the Great Spirit and Mother Spirit. And all the creative spirits. Our roles, which we don't consider roles in the divine sense, is the outpouring of essence into the creation, which is the divine order of cosmic totality. Also, to selflessly direct and coordinate for the best outcome, and to ensure that every element, every ray, every cosmic outreach works and flows and emanates for the greater harmony and ultimate good. So the Earth's being and other planets, the Earth's beings and other planets, in the far-reaching galaxies and solar systems are every bit valued and important as part of the greater cosmic wheel. And one day you will understand, if you haven't already, the divine system and what true transformation is, an ascension to the light, and how the spiritual journeys are just as important as the destination. So consider every moment as sacred, and what you may consider in your terms the upward ladder, know this: these are really rungs of light and wisdom. So absorb this grace and mercy within the light into your being. And even though there is much turmoil and negative energy in yours and some other spheres, grasp every single hand, source, uplifting pathway, and rays that you can, and flow along with these without doubt and without turning back, and fully connect with all of your helpers and guides and guardians of light. Now is the time in your realm. Now is always the time. Immerse and immerse deeply and flow towards the greater love and light. And as from the source and light streams, we all welcome you, no matter how far flung some are in the cosmic arena. We will all be really gathering and being together, rejoicing in the grand light love circle, while being surrounded by the music of the spheres and emanating the light rays and sounds of real joy, forever released from any bindings of the denser spheres. Again, we welcome you on the golden, crystalline, pure light path. And so it is.